For centuries, men have chased money as if it were the very essence of life itself. Wealth has been worshipped as the shield against fear, the guarantee of security, and the mark of ultimate success. Nations rise and fall in pursuit of gold. Families sacrifice bloodlines for inheritance, and individuals define their worth by the size of their possessions. Yet Machiavelli dismantles this illusion with ruthless clarity. He observed that money, though powerful, is never the foundation of true authority. In The Prince, he warns that rulers who rely on wealth as the backbone of their strength are doomed to fall, because gold is fragile by nature. It can vanish overnight through theft, corruption, war, or betrayal. Fortune can smile today and abandon you tomorrow. To Machiavelli, those who build their power on wealth alone are like men who construct their palaces on shifting sands, magnificent on the surface, but certain to collapse when the storm arrives. Machiavelli understood that fortune itself is unpredictable, unstable, and treacherous. He described it as a force that controls half of human affairs, while the other half is left to human skill and willpower. To depend entirely on fortune, and therefore on wealth, is to surrender your destiny to chaos. The man who clings to riches as his source of power is, in truth, chained to chance, unable to command it. He becomes a servant of circumstances rather than a master of them. For Machiavelli, real strength lies not in how much gold you can hoard, but in how well you can endure when fortune abandons you. That is why he placed such importance on virtue, a combination of courage, discipline, and strategic intelligence. Virtue is the inner weapon that allows a leader to bend fortune to his will. Money cannot create it, and yet, with virtue, even a man with empty coffers can find the means to rise again. Consider the rulers of Machiavelli's own Italy. Some states, overflowing with wealth, fell quickly when threatened because they lacked disciplined armies and decisive leaders. Their gold made them targets, not protectors. Others, with little wealth but strong leaders, endured and even expanded, because their strength was not in their treasuries, but in their ability to command loyalty and inspire fear. This is the heart of Machiavelli's teaching. Money is a tool, never the foundation. Wealth may open doors, but it cannot keep them open. Only authority forged through strength and strategy can do that. Machiavelli compared wealth to a mask, impressive when worn, but hollow without substance behind it. A ruler who shines with luxury may appear powerful, but when tested, his wealth offers no shield against treachery or invasion. To him, prosperity built only on financial gain was not prosperity at all, but a glittering illusion. He believed the wise ruler treats money as an instrument, a silent servant to his greater purpose. He spends it strategically, hides it when necessary, and never lets it define his power. For as Machiavelli would say, true prosperity is not measured in the coins one possesses, but in the ability to create opportunity when the coins are gone. The man who understands this truth is never truly poor, while the man who relies only on wealth is never truly rich. Machiavelli's most merciless lesson is this: gold cannot defend you, but soldiers can. He had witnessed firsthand how the wealthiest cities of Renaissance Italy, Florence, Venice, Milan, collapsed under foreign invasions, not because they lacked money, but because they lacked loyal, disciplined armies. In The Prince, he writes that rulers who depend on money instead of force deceive themselves, because coins do not fight battles. You can fill your treasury with endless wealth, but when the enemy breaches your gates, those piles of gold will not lift a sword, march in formation, or spill blood to protect you. Machiavelli explains that money can indeed purchase men, but only mercenaries, soldiers who fight not out of loyalty, but out of payment. And here lies the fatal weakness. The loyalty of mercenaries lasts only as long as the gold flows. The moment the treasury runs dry, they vanish. Or worse, they turn their weapons against the very hand that fed them. He had seen this many times in Italy, where rulers hired foreign mercenaries with overflowing treasuries, believing wealth alone would secure them. But when crises struck, these mercenaries fled, leaving the cities defenseless. A state that depends on soldiers bought with money is like a man standing on ice. It may seem solid, but at the slightest crack, it plunges him into ruin. Machiavelli declares that true security, true prosperity, comes only from an army bound not by wages, but by loyalty, discipline, and fear. He valued militias formed by citizens, men tied to their land, their families, and their leader, because their loyalty was not bought but forged. They fight not just for pay, but for survival, for pride, and for the respect of their commander. In his brutal clarity, Machiavelli argues that money without soldiers invites disaster, while soldiers without money can still create wealth. An army united under a strong leader can seize resources, capture territory, and force tribute from conquered enemies. In war, disciplined men become the true source of prosperity. Gold follows the sword, never the reverse. History is filled with examples: emperors who conquered vast lands with disciplined forces but empty treasuries, and kings who lost everything because their soldiers abandoned them the moment their pay was late. Machiavelli knew which one endures. The sword always commands the coin, and so his warning echoes across centuries: do not mistake wealth for strength. Wealth is a shadow, strength is substance. Money may help you build walls, but only men can defend them. A ruler who relies on gold without loyal men has already dug his grave, for his wealth will one day fall into the hands of his enemies. But a ruler who commands disciplined soldiers will never remain poor for long, because where his army marches, prosperity follows. Machiavelli's truth is ruthless but undeniable. Prosperity rooted in money is fragile, but prosperity rooted in power is unbreakable. Machiavelli often personified fortune as a violent, unpredictable river, sometimes calm and generous, sometimes flooding with fury, destroying everything in its path. To him, fortune symbolized the instability of life, politics, and wealth. Half of human affairs, he argued, are governed by fortune and the other half by human skill. This means that prosperity built only on fortune, whether through inheritance, sudden success, or blind luck, is fragile by nature. It lacks roots, it lacks foundation, it lacks preparation. The man who enjoys prosperity without discipline or strength is like a tree with shallow roots. It stands tall in fair weather, but collapses when the storm arrives. Machiavelli warns that wealth gained through chance blinds rulers into a false sense of security, convincing them that their success is permanent when, in truth, it rests on shifting ground. In The Prince, he emphasizes that leaders who inherit kingdoms or great fortunes without effort often lose them quickly. Why? Because they never developed the resilience, the courage, and the strategy required to defend and expand what fortune placed in their hands. Prosperity without virtue is a trap. It seduces men into comfort, and comfort breeds weakness, and weakness sooner or later invites destruction. Machiavelli observed that rulers who enjoyed years of prosperity without preparing for adversity were the first to crumble when enemies rose against them. They had wealth, but no loyal armies. They had luxury, but no authority. They had fortune's smile, but no weapons to resist her inevitable wrath. For Machiavelli, the key was virtue, not in the moral sense, but in the sense of strength, decisiveness, and strategic willpower. Fortune may be wild, but the leader armed with virtue can redirect her, just as engineers redirect rivers with dams and channels. Prosperity that survives is prosperity that has been prepared for. The wise ruler, even in times of peace, trains his soldiers, strengthens his alliances, and builds fear and respect among his people. He does not squander wealth on excess, but invests it in foundations that will withstand the storms. For when the river of fortune floods, those who built strong defenses will remain standing, while those who trusted fortune alone will be washed away. Machiavelli makes the brutal truth clear. Fortune is never constant. To worship her is to live in delusion. Prosperity that rests only on her gifts is fragile, temporary, and doomed to collapse. But prosperity forged through discipline, preparation, and authority can endure even when fortune turns hostile. In this, Machiavelli challenges us to see wealth not as security, but as opportunity. Use it when you have it, but never depend on it. For true prosperity is not what fortune gives, but what you can hold on to when fortune takes everything away. To Machiavelli, the greatest misunderstanding of wealth is to mistake it for the essence of power. Gold, he argued, is useful, but it is not sovereign. Authority, true authority, is what transforms a man from a mere collector of riches into a ruler whose presence commands obedience, loyalty, and fear. In The Discourses, he reminds us that republics and princes who depended only on their treasuries were quickly humbled, while those who cultivated discipline, order, and strong leadership endured even in poverty. For Machiavelli, prosperity was never about luxury. It was about stability. And stability is born not of gold, but of respect, fear, and control. Money can buy obedience, but obedience bought with silver is temporary. The servant who obeys only because of payment will betray you as soon as another hand offers a heavier purse. The general who fights only for coin will abandon you when defeat appears on the horizon. And the ally who stays at your side only for financial gain will vanish when your fortune declines. But authority, that subtle mix of decisiveness, discipline, and the willingness to punish betrayal, creates bonds that money cannot. Men who fear your judgment, respect your strength, or admire your ability will remain loyal even when the coffers are empty. Machiavelli teaches that it is not wealth that builds loyalty, but the shadow of power cast by authority. He makes a crucial distinction. Wealth is external, while authority is internal. One can be taken from you overnight. The other, once established, can endure through generations. A ruler who commands authority can lose a treasury and still recover, because men will continue to obey, fight, and sacrifice under his command. But a ruler who has only wealth and no authority is like a merchant. The moment the gold is gone, so is his influence. This is why Machiavelli urged leaders to cultivate fear and respect above luxury, for these are the pillars of enduring prosperity. Authority for Machiavelli is not about appearances of greatness. It is about the certainty that when you command, men obey. It is about the confidence that your rule cannot be easily broken, no matter how fortune shifts. Prosperity measured in wealth is shallow, but prosperity measured in authority is deep, unshakable, and lasting. Gold shines for a season. Authority endures for lifetimes. Machiavelli's vision of prosperity is therefore not a vault filled with coins, but a throne that cannot be toppled. The ruler who grasps this truth is untouchable, for even when fortune turns against him, he possesses the one treasure that cannot be stolen: the power to command. If you're ready to take these strategies beyond theory, check the pinned comment. The link I left there is the next step to becoming truly untouchable. Machiavelli's voice, echoing across 5 centuries, still cuts sharper than any weapon. Money without power is worthless, but power without money still holds weight. He reminds us that gold may sparkle, but it cannot fight wars, defend a city, or guarantee loyalty. Prosperity that relies solely on wealth is nothing but a fragile mask, one blow away from shattering. Yet a ruler who commands authority, discipline, and fear possesses a form of prosperity that cannot be stolen, because it resides not in treasuries, but in the hearts and minds of men. With loyal soldiers, devoted citizens, and the strength of virtue, even an empty vault can be refilled. But with gold and no authority, no loyalty, no fear, you are already bankrupt, even if your coffers overflow. This is why Machiavelli's lesson is so brutal and so necessary. Never let money define your strength. Instead, let strength define your money. When you command respect, men will bring you wealth. When you inspire fear, enemies will pay tribute to avoid your wrath. When you build discipline and strategy, fortune herself will bow before you. But if you worship fortune and wealth, you become her slave, waiting for her next whim to destroy you. Machiavelli exposes the truth that society hides. People may appear to honor wealth, but in reality they submit to power. Wealth without power is bait for wolves. Power without wealth can always create more wealth. The order is clear. First command men, then command money. If you're ready to take these strategies beyond theory, check the pinned comment. The link I left there is the next step to becoming truly untouchable. Today, his lesson remains as relevant as it was in Renaissance Italy. In business, in politics, and even in personal life, those who chase wealth without authority quickly lose both. They shine for a moment, then vanish when adversity arrives. But those who cultivate discipline, respect, and control endure. Their prosperity is not fragile, it is rooted in power. Machiavelli's warning is not meant to destroy illusions, but to arm you with clarity. If you want lasting prosperity, stop chasing coins and start building authority. Stop fearing the loss of wealth and start preparing for the storms of fortune. For when the storms come, and they always do, only the strong will still be standing. And now the choice is yours. You can live chasing fortune, trusting in money that can be stolen overnight, or you can live by Machiavelli's law, command men, and the wealth will follow. If this truth resonates with you, if you want more of the brutal lessons that kings, generals, and CEOs still use today, while pretending not to, then do not leave this channel. Subscribe, stay until the end, and dive deeper into the ruthless psychology of power. Because those who understand these laws will never be mastered by anyone, and those who ignore them will always be ruled by others.